Happy lunch hour, guys. Okay, we are rolling through a Tuesday and information coming out in the finance world, which is kind of important for you all to know. Uh, give you this one talking about protecting your money, saving your money, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Your security and your wealth. Not going into gold and silver. You know, we've talked about that. Everything's still running fine, just according to plan there. Travis over at the Prepared Homestead did a good video this morning on what's going on with bail-ins. I'm not going to rehash what he's already talked about. Go watch that. That's a video that you guys need to pay attention to as well. What I want to talk about is this new program, if you will, that 7 major banks are rolling out to compete with, like Apple Pay and Google Pay, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, trying to protect us from fraud. The only problem is it's opening everybody up to even more. And you may think about it as a way of going into CBDC or something like that. Now, how many of you guys have seen when you open up your bank account on the internet or whatever, check your balance, do whatever you want to do, see what checks have cleared, and you see convert your debit card to, or your credit card to Zelle, all right? And this is a multi-bank program that's worked together where you get a digital, a number that's different than your credit card to enter to your online purchases, whether you're purchasing from Amazon or Walmart or AutoZone or wherever it would be, okay? And they say it's supposed to prevent fraud. The problem is, you guys know as well as I do, that criminals are always one step ahead of the law, okay? Law, by definition, is reactionary, except under the FBI. The FBI tries to convict you of a crime before you commit it. Figure that one out, okay? But so now you have 7 of the major banks: Wells Fargo, Bank of America, JP Morgan Chase, Capital One, PNC Finance, U.S. Bancorp, and Trust Financial, all creating their own Apple Pay, Google Pay, or whatever, their own digital wallet under the name of early warning systems, okay? They all own that. It's what operates Zelle, okay? It'll work separately from Zelle, but now instead of being your credit card, this is now going to be your bank accounts, all right? So hypothetically, think when you're paying your electric bill online or whatever, and you enter your checking account number or something. That's what they're going after. Now, I know we talk about CBDC and all this sort of stuff. This could be a prelude to it. It may be some sort of test. They're expecting to roll this out the second half of this year, okay? And the banks are expecting to automatically enroll some 150 million people, half the country, in this digital wallet type thing. Now, I don't know about anybody else, but personally, I don't like using Google Pay. Right? I don't have Apple Pay because I'm not an Apple guy, but those of you who are Apple people, same thing, all right? The problem with this is now when you go into a physical store, you'd be using that. Now, the chip in your card was supposed to protect you, and it does a pretty good job, okay? When you cut up your card when it expires, make sure you cut up the chip and everything like that. But anything that we're doing with a specific number is not safe. And them coming up with this, personal opinion, I don't see how this is any safer than if I enter a 16-digit code or a 16-digit or whatever it is alphanumeric code, okay? It's the same thing. If somebody can see what those numbers are, they can still rip you off. Now, if you take a look at what Congress is saying about this, Congress is already talking about the fraud that is going on with Zelle already, all right? And this is information that came out yesterday, okay? there were 192,878 cases of fraud in 2021. This number just in 2021 in the first half of 2022. Okay, this information just came out yesterday. Totaling $213.8 million in which customers got defrauded out of their money. Okay. In only 3,500 cases out of 192,000 plus did the people get their money back. So that means 189,000 people lost their money. Okay. This is why you don't want to participate in this stuff. Okay. A lot of us, most of us, pretty much probably all of us who are watching this channel, certainly aren't wealthy by any stretch of the administration. Okay. This is why we are canning beans and stuff like that, not building $1 million underground bunkers. We can't afford to lose the money. The banks are trying to come up with other ways to navigate a system that's inherently bad. I'm just going to say this, all right? Because way too many people have access to your account than should. I mean, why the banks are so insecure, I have no idea. They'll claim, oh, we have the greatest security in the world. Sure, okay? That doesn't mean the rest of the world is secure, okay? The rest of the world is just in worse shape than we are. Just telling you. I mean, a lot of you guys can remember back in the days when you put a credit card and they ran the slider thing, you got the carbon copy over it, and it had all 16 digits of your credit card right on there. I mean, think about something like that now. How many people just throw out the carbons? Remember that? Shred all the carbons, everything. Now, if they run it through the little stick your card in or whatever, it just shows the last 4 digits of your card number, which is better. Until you start figuring out how the cards are figured out, right? The first 4 numbers are kind of sequential, for the most part identifies the bank, okay? The next 8 numbers, maybe, I don't quote me on this, but it could be branches or locations or something like that. You know, so maybe the last 6 numbers are your identification number, okay? Maybe the last 7. I don't know exactly how it all works. But the fraudsters have figured out how to go over all of this sort of stuff. It's not going to take them very long whatsoever to be able to figure out, oh, gee, they converted it to a digital number, okay, and figure it out from there. The bottom line is this, guys. Electronics, technology is not your friend when it comes to money, okay? Sure, and a lot of you guys have said before, I only keep enough in the bank to pay my bills. That is basically what you need to do. The question, of course, comes in as to what do I do with the rest of my money? If my bills are $2,000 a month and my paycheck is $2,500, what do I do with the extra money? And common sense says, okay, you put the other $500 in the house somehow. Until you've been doing that for a year and now it's $6,000 or $2,000 and it's $12,000. And now you go, crap, now I got a bunch of cash in my house that if my house burns down, that's gone. What do I do with that? Where do I put it? And again, we've all talked many times. If you don't hold it, you don't own it. Okay, so no safe deposit boxes aren't a good idea. Hence, go back to the bail-in situation. But somehow you need to have a savings account or some account, if you will, for that extra cash that you're going to be into, that the only way it can be accessed is if you go into a branch. That's the only, and I know it still sucks because, you know, I'm saying if you don't hold it, you don't own it. I know, but I'm not going to tell anybody to have tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash sitting in the house. You got to do something with it somewhere. This is how we're screwed, guys. This is how the system gets us. And we got to figure out some way around it. You got to diversify. And the only thing that I keep thinking is having the money in some sort of tangible asset, some sort of potentially appreciating, not depreciating assets. I'm not telling anybody to go out and buy a new car. That's a depreciating asset. But this is where you go back to buying things, land, gold and silver, something like that, that can't be electronically stolen from you. Because that's exactly where the banks are leading us, and the government is all on board. Pinball out.